The doors of your car will close automatically. Please keep your head and arms inside and remain seated at all times. And please, no smoking. Thank you.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Hey there, Mountaineers! Welcome to episode 12 of Matterhorn Mondays. I'm Matterhorn Matt, and this week my guest is Alex, a historian. Say hi, Alex.
Hello, everybody.
And he has his own YouTube channel, so for the new viewers who don't know who you are, why don't you go ahead and explain your channel?
Sure. My channel has 3 different shows. One is the most popular one. It's a lecture series where I go through each ride of Disneyland and talk about its history all the way up until today. Then I have another show called My Thoughts, where I talk about my thoughts on projects and things happening around the Disneyland Resort. And then finally, I have a vlog series where I go into the park and point out items or places of historical interest.
Yeah, guys, I say this every week. If you haven't already subscribed to him, I would definitely recommend you go check out his channel because he makes really amazing videos. And let's see, this week's topics are Disney was in talks to buy part of 20th Century Fox, and we're just going to give our thoughts on that. We're going to talk about immersive hotels at Disneyland and whether we're going to see those in the future or whether we need them at all. And we're also going to talk about current Disney movies. So let's get on to the sort of, quote, breaking news. I know it's not really breaking news since it happened, I think, Tuesday or around last week, but Disney, well, it was reported that Disney was in talks to buy part of 20th Century Fox. And for those of you that don't know, 20th Century Fox is a movie studio, just like Walt Disney Pictures. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
The movie studio, just like Walt Disney Pictures. And I just wanted to hear Alex's thoughts on that. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you think?
All right. Well, a moment ago, why I hesitated was because 20th Century Fox is really more of a distributor company.
Yes.
So, yeah. So they're basically a company where a movie company will send their movie to the distributor, and the distributor will, well, in the past, they would copy the film onto tapes and then send them out to the movie theaters and things like that. Now today it's a bit more complicated because everything's digital, but basically it works the same way. The distributor is in charge of distributing the film somewhere. So basically 20th Century Fox is a major film distributor. And a lot of people are probably wondering, what in the world, why would Disney want to buy them out? Like, what does this have to do with Disney? And the first thing that comes to my mind is Star Wars. Because, you see, there is a contract that George Lucas created a long time ago with 20th Century Fox that says 20th Century Fox will be the film distributor for the Star Wars franchise up until the year 2020. So basically, Disney still has to send their movies to the Star Wars movies to 20th Century Fox up until the year 2020, according to the contract. So it's interesting because Disney could make more money by using their own distribution company, which is Buena Vista Pictures, and also there's another distributor company that they have, but I can't think of it at the top of my head. But anyway, Disney could make more money off of distributing their films themselves. And so 20th Century Fox, the fact that they have to pay an outside company to distribute their movie is not really good for business. So I think that's probably one of the key reasons why Disney wants to buy them out.
Yeah, that's really, I guess, the main reason that a lot of people are talking about when it comes to Disney buying part of 20th Century Fox. And I would I could see why they would want to do it. You know, they want to make more money for the films that they produced, you know, and they don't want to send them over to be distributed and have to pay all the money to Fox to do all that. But I see, when it comes to me, I'm a big Marvel fan. I'm a big Marvel movie fan, and the thing that popped into my mind right away when I saw this this headline was the fact that Disney might buy back the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Deadpool, all of those Marvel properties, so that they could be able to, play together in the MCU with all the already owned Marvel characters. And that kind of blew my mind when I started thinking about the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Disney and Marvel themselves actually being able to make decent or even great movies. I'm not saying that the X-Men movies are bad. I mean, there's a couple bad X-Men movies, but when it comes to the Fantastic Four, I mean, the Fantastic Four movies that have been put out have been less than stellar, and I would just really love to see what Disney would do when it comes to those properties if this ends up happening, or even if they end up buying back the licensing for the characters.
Yeah, definitely. One other big interesting thing about it is the fact that whatever films that are distributed through 20th Century Fox, Disney would then own the rights to the distribution of those films. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, you're talking about, let's say, the Alien franchise.
Oh, yes.
They're distributed by 20th Century Fox, even though they're filmed by a different film company. I think MGM filmed them. I can't remember, but I'm a Disneyland geek. I don't remember much of this stuff, but so basically, if you think about it, every time someone wants to buy the original Alien movie, if Disney owned 20th Century Fox, Disney would get the royalties from that purchase because of the fact that it was distributed by 20th Century, and then Disney thereby owned 20th Century. So it's very interesting to think about how much money they could make off of this.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to, is how much money, or how much more money, I should say, Disney could make with all of this, going on. I mean, if you think about it, I don't know, hundreds of movies have been released under 20th Century Fox. Like you said, Aliens, I really can't think of any others right off the top of my head besides the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Deadpool. But this brings up, I guess, a larger question, which is, or I guess not really a question, but a larger topic, which is Disney would basically be getting more of a monopoly on the film industry if this deal ends up going through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Disney would. Well, I mean, for one thing, we can already kind of see it happening. I mean, Disney is such a huge company. I mean, you can kind of see them suddenly taking over the movie market. I mean, then again, their biggest challenger is Universal, but Disney is quickly taking over the movie market.
I mean, that's not, as Disney fans, you wouldn't think of that as a bad thing, but of course, if you know business, which I don't, but I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about for a second. If you know how this kind of stuff works, having a huge company like Disney own all of this, property, it's not really a good thing when it comes to competition, because if a smaller movie studio pops up, they wouldn't be able to compete with Disney or even Universal, and that's just kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say scary, but that's just kind of where I feel like this is headed to.
Yeah, it's a little freaky. I mean, but I think like I don't know, do the Marvel movies, are they distributed by 20th Century Fox?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, I wonder what. Well, anyway, so basically, like, you have all these movies, especially like the number one thing that comes to my mind is Star Wars once again, because every Lucasfilm is distributed by 20th Century Fox, and so it's like everything. Like you think about even the Indiana Jones movies and stuff like that. That was done by Lucasfilm and then distributed by 20th Century Fox. It's such a big move for Disney, and I wonder if they could do. I mean, they have the billions of dollars, but I mean, that's a huge buyout,
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Disney for sure has the money somewhere in their offshore accounts. No, I'm just kidding, but this also brings up a bigger question, or I don't know why I keep saying question. This also brings up a bigger topic, which is the fact that Disney might be doing this to add more movies to their future streaming service that they plan to announce, which I guess they're hoping is going to take over or kill Netflix, you know? And I mean, with Disney's movies already in one streaming service, added with all the movies that Fox releases, that would be a crazy, crazy, crazy streaming service, you know?
Yeah, I mean, oh geez, like just to think, I mean, basically every movie that 20th Century Fox distributed, that is going out to Netflix and Amazon Video and all that would be Disney's decision from then on as to
Yeah.
where it goes to, and of course they're going to want to do it on their own streaming service. I mean, so you can see that they want to expand their coverage of content, and the best way to do that, I mean, yeah, is to buy out 20th Century Fox. And that makes me wonder, if they buy out 20th Century Fox, what will happen to the Fox network?
Yeah.
Because that's slightly different. Those two companies work close together and were founded close together, but Fox is a different network altogether. But it's kind of like ABC is the same thing that Fox is. It's a channel network and all that. Oh gosh, I wonder if Disney is doing this because they want to have a lot of movies to be able to stream to people.
Yeah, that's really another really big reason. That I can see Disney, would even be thinking about doing this. And my idea would be that they would just kind of let Fox, if this ends up happening, they would just leave Fox to do what they normally do, and not interfere with anything else besides the money making aspect of it. But I mean, it's just crazy to think, if this does eventually happen, this would be, I don't want to say like an amazing step for Bob Iger, because he already bought Lucasfilm, he bought Marvel. I'm sure there's more. And I just realized, I believe Avatar is also under the licensing of Fox, which would make Avatar an official Disney movie along with Avatar Land. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it would be a Disney distributed movie, but I mean, it would still be officially owned by oh geez, what's his name? The director.
James Cameron?
James Cameron. It would still be owned by James Cameron, but the distribution rights would be owned by 20th Century, which is thereby owned by Disney. So yeah, it's interesting, because if you think about it, Disney could, let's say, have basically anybody who makes any kind of movie, let's say a rated R film, they could still turn to 20th Century Fox to distribute it. And even though Disney's name owns 20th Century Fox, it would give Disney the ability to distribute a film that is R-rated without it having the official Disney name on it.
Yeah.
So Disney would still make money off of all the movies that they couldn't make before because their ratings were too high. So if you think about it, like PG-13 films, R-rated films, basically just movies geared towards adults and things like that, those movies would be able to be distributed, and Disney would make the money off of it without having to say, oh, you're watching a Disney film. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're not business majors or any, we don't know a lot about the movie industry or how any of this works. I mean, at least I don't. I don't know about you, Alex, but...
Not much. I don't know much.
So we're really not the best sources to, come and get your movie Disney news, but we just like to speculate and just, talk about the latest and greatest of what might happen in the Walt Disney Company. And yeah, like you said, Disney could release an R-rated movie under 20th Century Fox and not have it, be a quote official Disney movie. And that's what I was kind of worried about, was the fact that 20th Century Fox owns the rights to Deadpool, which is a hard R film. And I was thinking, if this happened, I was wondering if they would just cancel Deadpool, because Disney wouldn't want a hard R movie like Deadpool under their movie catalog. But like you said, that just made me realize that hopefully it won't happen, or hopefully they won't cancel Deadpool 2.
No, I don't think they would, honestly. I think Disney sees this as an opportunity to, like you said, expand their inventory, but in a way that allows them not to control the way a movie is. So like, for instance, when you have a new movie like Deadpool 2, the film company is going to look towards a distributor to send it out, and they can still distribute through 20th Century Fox without worrying that they have to make their movie, let's say PG or G rated. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to explain it, but basically it's just like because it's only distribution, they could get away with saying, well, it's not our movie, we're just distributing it.
Yeah.
So I think that in the end, their plan is just to own the distribution rights to a lot of movies, so that way they can get the money for it. But I don't think they plan to alter movies in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just brings up the bigger question, which is, what will Disney go after next? I mean, I believe there were rumors a couple months ago about Apple buying Disney, or maybe it was the other way around, but it's just crazy to think that if Disney is considering to buy at least part of 20th Century Fox, what would they want to do next? I mean, they could go after a different streaming service to purchase rather than having to, create their own from the ground up. And I really don't see Disney buying Netflix, but there's always Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, all that. It's just crazy to think about what's going to happen after this, if this does indeed happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I don't see Disney starting their own streaming service. I see them more as buying out a streaming service. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if Disney would be looking towards Netflix next. I mean, yeah.
That would make Stranger Things a Disney property, which just makes me really happy. I love Stranger Things. For those of you guys who have not seen season 1 or season 2, you guys have to watch it, because it's an amazing show, and it's just like a breath of fresh air from all the reboots and everything that's going on in Hollywood these days.
Yeah, it is. It's really good.
Well, before we become a Stranger Things branded podcast, let's move on to the next topic, which is immersive hotels at Disneyland. And this is kind of an interesting question that I thought of the other day. Now that Disney is going full throttle with the Star Wars Hotel in Hollywood Studios in Florida, I'm wondering if there's a future for these kinds of experiences in the Disneyland Resort. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of room to, play around with when it comes to building a hotel of this scale. But I could see them, eventually down the road, creating something like this, whether it be a Star Wars hotel for Disneyland itself, or maybe, I don't know, something different. What are your thoughts on that, Alex?
I like the idea of these themed hotels, and as you know, they basically, the movie themed hotels only exist at Walt Disney World. Mm-hmm. Not at Disneyland, but it'd be interesting if they did. I mean, what I foresee is I can see Paradise Pier Hotel turning into a themed hotel, okay. like a movie themed hotel. That'd be interesting.
Because Paradise Pier is not a very good hotel as it is.
No, it's not. It's like the economy version of a Disney hotel. Mm-hmm. but yeah, I mean, like for instance, this Star Wars hotel. I mean, I can't even fathom what the Star Wars hotel will really feel like. I mean, I've
Hmm.
never stayed at like a movie themed hotel at Disney. Um, I've only stayed at like, well, I mean, kind of. I stayed at the Coronado Springs Hotel, which was like kind of like themed to Three Caballeros. So,
Hmm.
um, but I mean, I imagine it would be very fun and very interactive with the guests, and it'd feel like really great to like fall asleep in the middle of a Star Wars realm and wake up
Hmm.
in the middle of a Star Wars realm. Um, but yeah, I think I would like to see something like that happen here at Disneyland Resort. I'm just not sure what yet. I mean, what if they decided to give us a Star Wars themed hotel? Wouldn't that be cool?
I would shell out as much money as I had to stay at a Star Wars themed hotel in Disneyland. I'm just gonna put that out there. Disney, if you're listening, please build a Star Wars hotel. No, I'm just kidding, but the way I really see this is themed hotels. This whole immersive experience that Disney has created, or is creating in Hollywood studios with Star Wars Land and the Star Wars Hotel. This is really the future, I believe, of, quote, theme park experiences, because you stay at the Star Wars Hotel. It's all themed to Star Wars. It's like you're in the Star Wars universe, and then you exit the hotel and suddenly you're in Star Wars land, and it's just seamless. And I just can't even imagine what, like you said, I can't even imagine what kind of experience it's going to be like with, I don't know. I just can't even think. But I mean, realistically, there's really not a lot of space in Disneyland when it comes to building a fifth hotel now that they're building the fourth one soon. And I mean, I'd like to see a hotel themed after the Haunted Mansion. I think that would
Oh,
be,
that would be
yeah.
sweet. I
I
can't
mean,
believe you thought of that.
I was gonna say Tower of Terror too, but I feel like the Haunted Mansion would be a better pick. But I would love to see a Haunted Mansion themed hotel with. I don't even know what they would have in it. I'm just thinking creepy atmosphere. Butlers. I mean, creepy butlers, ghosts, and I don't know. That would just be something amazing that I would die to experience.
It'd be great, but you know what they'd have to do though is they'd have to make it themed more towards the funny side of the mansion rather than the
Yeah.
scary side. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it wouldn't that be cool? Like a haunted mansion themed hotel. I mean, like you know, well, as you were saying before, there's not much room to make more hotels in the Disneyland Resort, but there kind of is room for more hotel towers.
Oh, okay.
So, like I think, for instance, before they announced that this newest fourth hotel was going to be right on downtown Disney, I think before they were mentioning it was going to be up in the downtown Disney parking lot. And I think
Hmm.
before the idea was to make it kind of a tower. But now it's more laid out,
Hmm.
lateral wise. But I think that they could fit a tower type hotel right next to Paradise Pier Hotel, right on Simba parking lot, and that they could make a haunted mansion themed hotel.
Hmm.
That would be really cool. I mean, um, I mean, can you imagine like what if like all the hallways were like the never ending hallway,
That would be
and then
amazing.
and like every door to every room has like a knocker that you can like.
I would
Oh gosh.
pay hundreds of dollars to be able to experience that. But I mean, yeah, like you said, they
And
could. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say and a restaurant themed to the graveyard.
Yes, yes, yes. I was gonna say the next thing was themed restaurants, also, not just hotels, because Disney is going full throttle with the quote themed experiences. In Epcot, they're going with the Mission Space themed restaurant, which is going to have windows that basically look out into space. And I just think something like that would be really neat to have in the Disneyland Resort because, like I always say, we always get the short end of the stick over in California, and it would just be, I don't want to say like a breath of fresh air, but I just think it would be awesome. Disney, please build something like that here, please.
It's true. I mean, if you think about it, the three hotels that we have now, they're not exactly themed to anything specifically Disney, except for the Disneyland Hotel, which is themed to Disneyland. But the decoration and theme of these hotels is very subtle compared to what it could be. Now, I actually am a big fan of the subtle themed hotels. I like Grand Californian because it doesn't exactly shout Disney. I like the Disneyland Hotel because even though it's themed to Disneyland, it still is nice and classy looking. But I think, like, once again, I think that we could benefit from having a hotel that is themed to a movie or a property that is very, very, like, the decorations really do stand out. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to say that, but like you were saying, like I'm ecstatic with this Haunted Mansion hotel idea. Like, that would be really cool to have as like something that's just ours, just Disneyland Resort. So
yeah, and I mean, Haunted Mansion is really a great property to, I guess, theme stuff after, because you really have a lot of leeway. Because they're really, I mean, I don't want to say there is no real, quote, story in a Haunted Mansion, because there is, but you could really do a lot of creative things when it comes to this kind of stuff. And, I mean, I would totally be down to just demolish Paradise Pier and replace it with one of these themed hotels, because, think about it. If a guest, on average, pays however much money they pay to get into Disneyland for, say, 3 days, I feel like a lot of people would just jump the gun and go full Disney and stay in one of these hotels. I mean, imagine how much money Disney could be making in Disneyland with these hotels and families staying 3 or 4 nights even in the hotels.
Yeah, I mean, people are big fans of the new Art of Animation hotel.
Oh,
and
yeah.
If anybody actually knew this, the hotel never used to be the Art of Animation. It was a different type of hotel altogether. But it just sat there without getting any attendance. And then Disney went, how can we bring this hotel back up to popularity? And they thought, let's just retheme the hotel and make it Art of Animation. So you're actually staying in a really old hotel that is been redone to look brand new. And I mean, that would be kind of cool if they did that to Paradise Pier Hotel, or like you said, if they just demolished Paradise Pier Hotel and built an even larger hotel in its place that was themed to a Disney movie or a Disney ride or something. That would be really great. I mean, we don't really have anything like that here at Disneyland Resort, and I think that that's something that we need, to help make it a well-rounded vacation.
Yeah, but the way I see it is the reason they're doing the Star Wars hotel in Walt Disney World is because there's really no way to create, I guess, a seamless, what's the word? Immersive experience with any of the other lands in the parks besides Star Wars, which is going to be, or supposed to be, like a really immersive experience. I mean, they could have done it with Toy Story Land in Walt Disney World, but I mean, Toy Story Hotel doesn't really sound that appealing unless it's themed really well. But yeah, I mean, it'd have to be to like these immersive lands that we have in Disneyland, which we don't have very many so far. We only really have Cars Land, and I think that's really it. Cars Land is the only, quote, immersive land that we have. Imagine a Cars Land themed hotel. That would be kind of awesome. Like a full Western Radiator Springs themed hotel. That would be kind of cool.
Wow, that'd be really neat. Like that would be something I would love to stay at, is like a Radiator Springs themed hotel. You know what else I was thinking? Actually, I was in the park the other day, and I was thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be great to stay like in a room above New Orleans Square? Or like, wouldn't it be great to like stay in a room in the upper floors of Fantasyland, or something like that? And I thought like, like Disney should create more of those dream suites and have them inside Disneyland Park. Like I think that they could do it. I think it's something doable. Like even on Main Street, they could build a apartment somewhere along Main Street that is up on the second floor. There's enough room. I mean, I've been to the upper floor of the Opera House, and that's all just that's the what do you call it? The PBX Center, which is the phone operators of the resort. That's where they answer their phones, and they could just relocate them and use that upper floor as like a nice big apartment, for people to stay in. And people will pay good money for that. I would pay good money for that.
Yeah.
I'd love to stay in Disneyland overnight. I don't know why they don't do something like that. And I bet they could make more money off of people staying overnight at Disneyland than they could off of the space that they're using for Club 33. So imagine if they turned some of that Club 33 space into a few hotel rooms and charge people to stay overnight there. They can make more money.
I mean, I'd be more open to the idea of staying inside Disneyland rather than a themed hotel. And I mean, that's kind of another way that this whole immersive hotel thing can go. Disney could also, like you said, build at least, 1 or 2 rooms in Disneyland for guests to stay, charge $1,000 a night, sure, but there's bound to be more than a few people who would be willing to pay that price to stay in Disneyland. I mean, if I had the money, I would totally do that. I mean, who wouldn't want to stay the night in Disneyland? I mean,
yeah,
it's just baffling to think about. I mean, that's like something you dream about as a kid, wishing, Mom, can I stay overnight in Disneyland,
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've never spent the night at Disneyland, but in my career as a cast member, especially working for guest relations, often I was handed the key and asked to look over the Dream Suite for the night. So like there was a shift where like if people were staying in the Dream Suite, you basically were the keeper of the keys and you stayed in the Dream Suite overnight to answer any questions or anything that the people staying in the Dream Suite might have. And so I've done that before, and that's like staying overnight at Disneyland. But I've also had overnight shifts and things like that in the park. So I've seen what the park is like overnight. And true, like a lot of cast members will say, well, why would you want to spend the night at Disneyland when all you see is trash trucks come out and, and landscaping trucks start driving around the park. But it's actually kind of cool to watch people do their jobs and go about their business. It's kind of like, it's cool to like look around and see like the painters come out and like start painting the railings and stuff like that. I mean, and there, you might even see something really cool happen, like one time I was there so early that this trash truck came and like rammed into the restaurant, what was it? Stage Door Cafe. And like one of the balcony poles was completely smashed to splinters. And
oh my gosh.
Within an hour, they brought out a new piece of wood, carved it out into a brand new pole, painted it, and then put it in its place.
What?
I was like, what? Whoa. It was crazy. So, staying in a Disney hotel overnight in a park, you might see stuff like that happen. And it's amazing how they do that. Like, I swear to you, they knocked out this pole with a trash truck, and then in an hour, they brought out a new piece of wood, carved it out, painted it, and put it in its spot. It was just,
gosh.
Wow.
That is crazy fast. I couldn't get that done in a week, probably. And I mean, I guess that's really one of the reasons why Disney doesn't have more of these dream suites. They don't want to ruin the magic for guests who stay overnight. They don't want the guests to see Mickey with his head off. I don't know. That's just an example, but
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's really a shame that they don't have more. Do they even still use the Dream Suite in Disneyland?
They do, but it's for a very rare occasion. Like if they have like special VIP guests that were invited by the company to come to the park, then they'll use the Dream Suite to let them stay overnight. Because the Dream Suite happens to be the only place in the resort where you can get a hotel room basically ready to go without anybody staying in it already. You know, but yeah, they do. And the interesting thing about the Dream Suite is you can't really see the park from your room, because the rooms are located further into the center of the suite, so you can't really look out your window and see the park. You'd have to go to the living room for that. And so it's interesting how the Dream Suite works, because it helps to hide the Disney magic that happens overnight, while at the same time you can say you're staying in New Orleans Square, you know. So
Man, just you saying that, staying overnight in New Orleans Square, that sounds
rad, doesn't it?
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I would do that. Oh man, I would pay anything.
Yeah, it's really a shame that they don't open up, for regular guests to stay. I mean, I don't know for a fact that they don't quote me on that, but I mean, I know that sometimes they open up the suite in Cinderella's castle at Disneyland for like contest winners and stuff, but that's not the same. I mean, well, I guess it is. You're winning a contest. Staying for free, I guess that's better than paying, but it's a shame that Disney doesn't have more of these. Now, where else would be a great idea to put one of these? Like you said, Main Street would be a great idea. I would love to have a hotel room in Main Street, and just being able to, not even during the night, during the middle of the day, to just like sit out on a balcony and just watch all the guests, walk by, see the interactions they have with the characters, even watch the parade during the day. That would be something.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, as the crazy, creepy Disney geek that I am, I happen to know how a lot of the buildings were constructed. So I know which buildings have an upper floor and which ones don't. And a lot of the buildings on Main Street already have an upper floor. So you could use up like most any space in the upper floors of Main Street as a small apartment. I mean, it'd be really small, but I mean, there's that. Let me think. You could have a hotel room. Well, wouldn't it be interesting if they like turned the Carousel Theater upper floor into like hotel rooms?
That
like
would be something.
You could stay in Tomorrowland.
Oh my gosh, that would be okay. I'm gonna point out right now that I love the background music that they play in Tomorrowland, and being able to hear that. I don't know if they play the music during the night. But being able to hear the music while I'm asleep, that would be amazing, because I don't know, there's just something about that music that I really love.
Yeah. There's room in the Matterhorn to build a small room, like a small apartment. So imagine like you could open up like a trapdoor window or something and look out over, Tomorrowland or Fantasyland or Main Street,
from you could hear the guests screaming. That would be something.
Yeah.
Except you probably have to climb the mountain to get up there.
That's true. That's true. It is a 7-story climb. There's no elevator up there. 7 stories worth of stairs.
It'd be worth it.
So it would totally be worth it. I would do it. I'd be like, you know what? If I could stay in the Matterhorn overnight, like I would do it.
Or like every morning when you wake up, you'd like, I don't know what the word is for like the mountain climbers. You'd like hike down the mountain to get to the park. That would be awesome.
Yeah. If Sleeping Beauty's castle didn't have the walkthrough in it, there'd be kind of enough space for a small room and maybe a tiny little bathroom. But there is space up there for that if they took out the the walkthrough, which I think would make a lot of people angry, because the walkthrough is like a classic. Let me think. Frontierland. There's room in the upper floors of Frontierland for an apartment, the shop. What's it called? The Outpost. Pioneer Mercantile. That's what it's called. Yeah. There's room up there for an apartment. So imagine staying in Frontierland overnight and looking out over, rivers of America and all that. Gosh, they could turn the Fort Wilderness into.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Gosh.
Staying on Tom Sawyer's Island. I miss when Tom Sawyer's Island was big. I'm just gonna put that out there. I mean, there wasn't much to do, but I don't know. It's just my Disney geek talking. I missed the bigger version of Tom Sawyer's Island.
Staying on Tom Sawyer's Island would actually be kind of cool because you're far enough away from the main part of the park not to see like the little details of people doing the non-magical stuff, like painting stuff. You can't really see much from that distance. But it's also isolates you, so it's not like you can go wandering around the park at night. So, I mean, when you stay at the Dream Suite, they pretty much lock you in, so you can't leave. And they used to do an overnight tour. So
what?
Yeah, anyone that stayed at the Dream Suite overnight would be able to go for an overnight tour after the park closed.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that was way back during the Year of a Million Dreams.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but yeah, that was cool. Apparently, we're just walking around the park at night. I mean, I'm making myself sad now because we don't have this.
I know, it's just it's really sad to think about. But Disney, if you're listening, please make some sort of immersive hotel. It can be small. It doesn't have to be, 500 rooms. It could be like 10 rooms, and you don't even have to charge that much. You could charge $10, and people would go. But obviously that wouldn't be a good price. So, I mean, I'd pay anything to do that, honestly.
Yeah. I thought of another space above the Starcade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. How cool would that be to look out your window and see Space Mountain?
That'd be even better than the Innoventions, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Gosh,
well, before we sadden ourselves even more with talking about this, we're gonna move on to our final topic, which is current Disney movies. And I know we've teased this a lot in our previous episodes. Yeah, we're just gonna give our opinions on a lot of current Disney movies, and they don't have to be, just Disney movies. Marvel, Star Wars, everything is on the table. Why don't you start us off, Alex?
Oh man, you're starting me off. I have to think of something. Well, I mean, just to begin with, like, a lot of current Disney movies really are they kind of just suck, in my opinion. I mean, I wish that they would do better, but Disney's becoming like a lot of other movie companies where they're just trying to pump out more movies to satisfy people as opposed to making stuff that is like really super quality. Like, for instance, everyone went gaga over Frozen. I did not like Frozen. I thought it was terrible. It was like they were just taking like a movie that they just used their special formula of Disney movie making to create like the cutest characters and whatever and smash it all together, and it's just it was a terrible movie.
I remember my sophomore year, I was in high school when that movie came out, and I remember specifically it came out either on or around Thanksgiving, and after that Thanksgiving break everybody was talking about Frozen. And I purposefully didn't watch that movie for a good maybe two years probably. And, I'm probably in the minority, but I thought Tangled was better than Frozen.
Oh, yeah, Tangled was better than Frozen. I actually own a copy of Tangled. And
oh, me too.
I really liked it. I mean, that was a good quality Disney movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm trying to think of the reason why I like that more than Frozen. And I think the only thing that really comes to mind right now, there's something very special about Tangled, and I think I think it's the way that they got you to really understand how the princess character felt. They really delved into her story and into how she felt. But when you watch Frozen, it just seems like they're telling you a story as opposed to you really living it while you're watching the film. And I didn't really connect with Anna or Elsa. I didn't really feel like I understood who they were or why they did the things that they did. I mean, I was watching Frozen and I kept going like, who's Elsa's the one that has the power, right? Okay, so I'm like, all of the problems in this whole movie could have just been solved with just good communication between one another. So it just wasn't good. And then, ironically, it became the most popular Disney movie of all time.
Is that true? What?
Yeah, it became like Disney's highest grossing movie ever.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, and it was all because, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like when you take good Mexican food and then you water it down for the white people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like good Mexican food is enjoyed by a small group of people who can stand the spiciness and the combination of flavors. But then, like, if you want to give it to the general public and have them accept it, you have to water it down. And so I felt like Frozen was a really watered down version of a good Disney movie. And that's why it sold so well, is because it reached more audiences than a really good Disney movie.
And I mean, just simplified for a lot of the modern day movie viewers to understand. I mean, Tangled was an amazing movie. I'm not gonna lie, the lantern scene makes me cry every time I watch it, and I'm really glad they added the Tangled part to the new Fantasmic, because Flynn and oh my god, I'm blanking on her name. Flynn
Rapunzel.
I don't know why I can think of that, because the movie's based on Rapunzel, but Flynn and Rapunzel really have this really amazing chemistry together that Frozen didn't really have that kind of, dynamic, and Tangled is better than Frozen. I'm just going to put that out there.
And, what was another one I was thinking of? Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about Disney's last hand-drawn animated film.
Oh, okay.
And that is, oh gosh.
Princess and the Frog.
It was right on the tip of my tongue. Princess and the Frog. That was a really awesome Disney movie. I mean, that was, in my opinion, like the best Disney movie that they could have created. I mean, I love it even more than Tangled. And the reason why is because you really feel what Princess Tiana was going through. Like, she was the first character in a Disney princess movie that really was working hard for what she wanted, and the movie had a great theme to it. And I mean, there was a lot of messages that the story was trying to tell you. Like, for instance, one of the messages is that your dreams don't just come true. You have to work at them. You have to help your wish along in order for it to happen and for it to come true. And another theme, which is my favorite, is that you have to find what it is in life that you really need. Everything is not about what you want. It's about what you need in life. And it's just such a great movie. And it just so happened to be the last hand-drawn animated Disney film to be released. And it's so sad because it didn't perform as well in the box office as it should have. But, I mean, anyone who watches it goes, oh, that is a good movie, Anyway, yeah.
I'm probably in the minority, but I've never seen The Princess and the Frog.
You've never seen no, you're not in the minority. You're actually in the majority. A lot of people haven't seen that film, and they should. It's such a good movie. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers or anything, so I'm going to try not to. But I mean, the film really gets you in the heart. For one thing, Princess Tiana, her father was a really hardworking man and, did everything he could for his family. And all he wanted in life was, to have a restaurant of his own, that he could cook his own food and stuff like that. And he died before that could happen. And so Tiana always felt like, her dad never got what he wanted. But as one character in the film, points out, he may not have gotten what he wanted, but he had what he needed, which was family.
Okay.
And so it's just, I can't even tell you. Every time I watch The Princess and the Frog, I tear up. I really do. It's such a good movie. Just like Snow White. I always tear up during Snow White.
Yeah. I mean, I really need to watch that movie. It's been on my list of movies that I need to watch for a while, but I don't know why I just haven't gotten around to it. And while we're on the topic of hand-drawn animated movies, I want to talk about the movie that Disney released a while back, which is Treasure Planet. And I'm just going to say Treasure Planet is one of my favorite Disney movies that they've ever released. And I don't know. There's just something about that movie. Its visuals are just, I don't know. It's just really mind-blowing how they combined. I watched a video on this a couple weeks ago, and Treasure Planet is really fresh in my mind, and I just want to inform you all of how good this movie is, because the length that the animators went through to make this movie look the way it does, look as beautiful as it does, it's just amazing. It's really a shame that it didn't perform well at the box office and that they didn't have a sequel for it, because I would have loved to see the adventures of, I don't know why I'm not good with main character names, but I would have loved to see the adventure continue into a sequel and maybe even a third movie, but yeah.
I haven't seen Treasure Planet.
Ooh. It's a really good movie. You really need to watch it.
Okay.
The main character's name is Jim Hawkins. I just remembered, but he's voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he's one of my favorite actors too. So, okay, but anyways, that wasn't really a quote current Disney movie, but I wanted to move on to some of Disney's live-action movies, and more specifically, Pirates of the Caribbean, the whole Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Now, when it comes to the first Pirates of the Caribbean, I really, really enjoyed that film. Apart from all the nods and winks to the original attraction in Disneyland, I just thought it was, like a really great pirate movie, adventure movie with kind of mythical elements to it. But when it comes to its sequels, I feel like the sequels progressively got worse. Mm-hmm. Worse and worse and worse and worse up until the last one, which is probably the worst out of all of them, And it's and it's really sad because they pushed Jack Sparrow into the main character role, which doesn't really work for his character. He's more of a supporting character, the funny comedic sidekick guy. I really liked Orlando Bloom in the first movie, and Orlando Bloom, he appeared in the last movie. Spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it or just who don't care. Orlando Bloom was in the last movie, and Keira Knightley was too, and Orlando Bloom was not acting to his full potential in the last movie. And I don't know. I've seen a lot of people talk about this, and the fact that Jack Sparrow is, I don't want to say invincible, but he kind of is in these movies, or at least in the sequels, because there's this scene, I think I've talked about this in the previous episode, but there's this scene in the newer movie where him and his gang are trying to rob a bank or something, and I'm trying to figure out how the scene plays out, but Jack is basically running on top of moving buildings, and people are, trying to shoot at him and everything, and I don't know. I can't explain it. You guys have to watch just that one scene, and you'll understand how he doesn't come out, harmed or anything. I don't know. It's just
No, I know what you're talking about. They he's robbing a bank, and the safe is in the building, and Jack and his crew were supposed to attach ropes to horses and
oh my gosh, yeah,
to the safe. You know what I mean? But when they pulled on the safe, the whole building came with it. And so they're going through the streets of this town with this building, and like Jack Sparrow is trying to catch up to it. So he's like running on rooftops trying to catch up to this building, and he's not, I mean, he is performing like an athlete,
Yes.
doing all kinds of high jumps and things like that, and running across these roofs at really fast like speeds, like the speed of like running horses. Okay. And and then like everyone's shooting at him. Rooftops are caving in as he's walking. I mean, it's just like
It's just cartoony. That's what it is.
it is, and it doesn't seem realistic at all. And I mean, and because of that lack of realism, it makes the scene feel cartoony. It just seems like ridiculousness. And and when I was sitting in the theater watching it, the audience was just eating it up. I'm like, come on, you guys. I'm like, this is not quality, like this is just a big heaping pile of well, let me move on. So it's like you said, the sequels kept getting worse and worse. I mean, really, to me, the only movies out of the pirate franchise that I like is the first one and the second one. I like the second one because of the strong Davy Jones character.
Oh, yes.
I really liked that. But I have to admit that the second movie wasn't as good as the first. And then from there, it just progressively got worse. And, and then you have this newest movie, which is like really dumb because it's like, like there's a pirate character, Captain Salazar, and he's like trapped inside, like him and his crew are trapped in a mountain where like it's like kind of like what's the word what's that realm that you go to that's between like heaven and hell?
Purgatory.
Yeah, it's like purgatory, right? So he's like trapped there, and then somehow he gets out. I don't remember how, but he gets out. And anyway, and so the whole thing is like, oh, it's these evil pirates that were trapped in purgatory getting back at Jack. And I'm just like, hey, isn't that every single pirate movie? Like,
yes.
Every single Pirates of the Caribbean movie is like evil weirdos who are after Jack Sparrow. And it's like, when does it end? Like, it's the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, and I can't remember in the first one, but in the newest one, they're after, or at least, okay, like I said before, spoilers if you haven't seen. I guess it's past spoiler time, okay? If you haven't seen the movie, then you should have stopped listening a while ago, but they're basically introducing these two new characters. I can't remember their names because I didn't pay attention, but the boy character is Will's son, Will and Keira Knightley's. I can't even remember her name either. Their son, basically, and his. I'm just gonna call him Bob, because I can't remember his name. But Bob is basically trying to find the Triton of Poseidon because it can supposedly break every curse or something like that, so he can free his dad from being the captain of the whatever ship, from basically being Davy Jones, and it's just leaning into the whole mythical side more than the first one. The first one didn't really have anything like that. Of course it had like the skeletons and everything, but that's like Triton of Poseidon is like on a whole different level. It's just gone full mythology. I can't really explain it any better, but
it's too fantastic, too fantasy like for its own good. I mean, it's one thing if you're talking about a curse, over pirates, but then it's another thing if you're looking for like the Triton that belongs to a god. It's
Yeah.
like it just doesn't work, It just seems too fantastic and too weird, and again, it's just getting worse and worse because that's and let me tell you the problem here. The reason why we have these horrible, horrible sequels is because people keep going back to the theater to watch the next sequel.
Yeah.
And it's like, unfortunately, the way that Disney does movies is it's kind of like a voting system. Every ticket to get into the theater is a vote towards your liking of the movie. If there wasn't that many people going, then Disney would realize not many people were interested. But the thing is that millions and millions of people keep going to the theater to see these movies, and so Disney keeps producing more of them. Of course, they say that this last movie is the last movie, but I don't really believe it. I think there will be one more. But anyway, it's just ridiculousness. And I was saying a few podcasts ago that Walt Disney himself did not like the idea of sequels. Back when he was doing Silly Symphonies, and he created the Silly Symphony episode called Three Little Pigs, it was a really popular episode of Silly Symphonies that everybody loved. And when it finished, people in the theaters were clapping and were like so happy. And the distributor said, well, I hope that you are planning to make another one, a sequel. And Walt said, why would I make a sequel? And and the distributor said, well, because people love it. And Walt said, look, everyone loved these pigs and they loved them because they were so great, but you can't top pigs with pigs.
Yes.
So, and I love that quote because it's so true. You can't top a good movie with an even better one. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, not unless, you're from Lucasfilm and you decide to do Empire Strikes Back that totally was so much better than A New Hope. But that's one of those rare things. I'm telling you, people, it's rare to produce a sequel that's better than the first movie. So it's just like, I mean, like look at the Aliens franchise. The second movie, which was created by James Cameron, that was lucky too that was even as popular as it was, because you had James Cameron at the helm. But when you look at like Disney movies, you see all these sequels coming out, and I think I was telling you also a few episodes ago, like they have like 3 Cinderella movies. It's ridiculous.
My God, yeah.
It's
that was like kind of in the dark ages, of Disney movies where they just made direct-to-DVD sequels, and even 3, I don't know what the term for like sequel for 3 is, but but yeah, I personally own Cinderella 3 on DVD, and I've seen it once, and I think I actually brought it out a couple weeks ago just to make sure that I still have it, and I'm gonna keep that one locked away for a special time when people don't believe me when I say there's a Cinderella 3. But yeah, like you said, it's really rare for sequels to be better than the original. I remember when I watched Finding Dory in the theaters, which isn't really a quote Disney movie, but it is. I thought Finding Dory was pretty good compared to Finding Nemo. I mean, Finding Nemo, of course, was an amazing movie. I mean, the atmosphere of being underwater, the music and all the visuals just combined, and even the story too, all the characters, it just made this perfect mesh of a great movie. And I mean, Finding Dory, it was okay. Well, I said just 5 seconds ago it was pretty good, but it's okay.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of Finding Nemo. I thought that was such a great film, and it had such a great message to it. But when I saw Finding Dory, and believe me, I wanted to love it. I wanted to. But I didn't love it. I thought it was just okay. it could have been a whole lot worse and been a really bad
Oh,
Disney sequel. But
oh yeah.
it wasn't good. And let me tell you one of the biggest reasons why, people. It has no message.
Mm-hmm.
It has like usually a Pixar film has this really powerful message.
Mm-hmm.
And and it but Finding Dory didn't. It's like, well, what was it? It's like, oh, your friends are there for you. I don't really like I don't really know what it was. But the other thing too was that the actual storyline, like the reasons behind stuff, didn't really make sense. Okay, there's okay to give a good example of one of the things I really hate about Finding Dory.
Spoilers for everybody, though.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. I wasn't going to give too much information,
I
but
was though later on.
oh, okay. Okay, well then I'll make my point real quick. So, in Finding Dory, there's a lot of oh, what's it called? Oh, I can't think of the word. Basically like where something happens just in the nick of time, or
Oh, yeah. I
you
can't think of the
know,
word either.
yeah. So basically, like maybe I'll think of the word as I'm describing this other movie. But if you've seen the movie the Force Awakens, Star Wars: The Force Awakens,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I really hate about it, and this is a problem that director J.J. Abrams has with all his movies, is that his characters always happen to be at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Like for everything that they need, it's like, oh, it just so happened that you're there. It's it's so coincidental. There we go, coincidence. So forgive me, my dog is barking in the background, but he's just trying to protect me from helicopters. But so basically, like Finding Dory had a lot of coincidences. It was
Mm-hmm.
like every time Dory needed to know something, a new memory came to her. And it
Yeah.
was like, oh, I remember it now, and now I know where to go. And it's like, there was just too many coincidences. Just like with The Force Awakens, where it was like, oh, they just happened to be on the right planet with the right characters, or they just happened to, find the Millennium Falcon in the middle of
Yeah.
the giant universe that there is. They found the Millennium Falcon, and soon enough they found, Harrison Ford, and it's just coincidences in movies is just lazy movie writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's the writers don't want to put in the effort to make a complicated movie, so they just write in all these coincidences that make it just so much easier to just get move the story along.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, J.J. Abrams is a really poor movie writer. Unfortunately, because he's so bad at it, because he's so good at watering down a good story, it's reached the masses, and that's why his movies are so popular, is because it reaches everybody, and people don't have to do any thinking to like the movie. So I know I just totally insulted a bunch of people right now, but and probably they'll come hunting me down and kill me later, but I'm willing to say that the reason why I didn't like Finding Dory was because there was too many coincidences, and the story writing was just too simple. It was just it didn't they didn't put in a lot of effort in the movie. So, and then of course a lot of it was just like, oh, we have to have Dory and her cuteness and her silly jokes, which anyway, so that's my thoughts on Finding Dory.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the problems that I think Hollywood has a lot these days. Not really going off what you're saying, but pushing the side character, the comedic side character, into the main character role for the sequel or for a spin-off. It's like the same thing with the Despicable Me movies and the Minion movie that came out a while ago.
Yeah.
I really, really, really hate Minions. I'm sorry, guys. I
Oh,
really
me too.
dislike Minions.
Oh, thank God. I hate them too.
No, yeah, I've avoided the Minions movie for as long as I can, but no matter what, the Minions pop up everywhere. and this is kind of going off on a tangent, but it's just these small little characters, that anybody can come up with. It's the same thing with that Gummy Bear music video thing that came out way a while ago on YouTube, and I can't think of any other examples, but it's just these small side characters, that are funny for a couple scenes, but then for some reason the studio decides to push them into the main character role for their own movies, and it just doesn't doesn't work.
I'm one of the people that really often hates those like super silly comedic characters. Like, for instance, the Minions. The reason why I hate them so much is because they're so stupid.
Yes.
Their purpose is stupid, and the way that they act is stupid. It's not like it's clever, like where you have like C-3PO being clever, or like someone else, but the Minions are so stupid. And one Disney movie that really bothers me with their stupidity. Have you seen the new Moana movie?
Oh, yes.
You have? Okay, so do you remember the chicken, the character, the chicken? With the big... See, you laughed. That means you like him. Okay, so the chicken really bothered me because here Disney goes, you know what? Instead of making the cute and funny character, let's make two separate characters, a cute one and then a funny one. And so they went and created the cute little pig, right? And he's like, oh, he's so cute, and then they created the funny character separately, so that way they didn't have to combine the two. Like, for instance, Olaf in Frozen is supposed to be cute and funny, or like...
And now they're pushing him for his own short movie in front of Coco, which is something I'm going to bring up later, too.
No, I was just going to say I wouldn't be surprised if they made a movie based off of Olaf. But anyway, so this chicken is like, well, mentally underdeveloped.
Hey.
And
That's his name.
And is AA?
Hey,
That's
hey.
right. Oh, hey. That's right. That's his name. Hey. Anyway, he's basically a really silly chicken because he's not all there. And that's why people love him. And I'm just like, really? Like, they're just trying to push it for more cute and adorable characters, and it just bothers me when they do something like that. It's like, it's not the same when you have like Tangled has
chameleon.
The chameleon, and he's cute, and but he's not like super silly. He's a good sidekick character.
Yeah.
And in the movie the movie Princess and the Frog, they have Ray, which is the little bug, and he's cute in the sense that he's just so funny and he's so tiny. But he's a good character. But then Disney goes and does this, and they're like, oh, well, now we have to have all kinds of cute and silly characters in the movie, and it's just getting worse.
No, it really is, and I can understand why they do it. It's because for the small kids that watch the movie, they want to, entertain the small kids who can't, fully understand the story of the movie, and they put in those smaller slapstick comedic characters because that's what the kids these days like. Same with the Minions. The Minions are just completely slapstick. None of their humor is good thought out humor, It's poop jokes, banana jokes. I don't get why banana is so funny, but the kids these days just eat that up. And when it comes to Olaf, this was something I was going to bring up also. I don't know how many of you are excited for Coco coming out this Thanksgiving, but I'm super excited, and supposedly the Incredibles 2 trailer is supposed to be coming out during that, and I just wanted to throw that out there. But for some reason, Disney has decided to put a 23-minute short based around Olaf in front of the movie Coco. And for those of you guys who don't know, Pixar's, like, the little shorts that they do, they're usually... I don't think it's Pixar, but whatever.
No.
the shorts that the shorts that they make are usually around a minute, 2 minutes, but this quote short is 23 minutes. And I saw a headline earlier today about how what's it called, cinemas in Mexico were not showing that because I don't know, they just didn't want to see a 23-minute mini movie in front of an actual, however long the movie is, movie. And I don't know, that's just something that really bothered me.
Yeah, I didn't know this, and now that I hear it, it just sounds awful. Like, I don't want to see a 23-minute film about Olaf. Like, I did not like Olaf's character.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was just he was only there because I'm a little snowman and I like hugs. And I'm just like, really? Like, that is so stereotypical Disney that it's not even cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just like, I hate that. They're just pining for people to love him because he likes hugs and he's a snowman and he's got a crooked nose. I love how I added that at the very end. He's got a crooked nose. Um, anyway, so yeah, I don't like that. But the Olaf movie in front of Coco, like, I just want to see the Coco movie. I don't want to see the Olaf thing.
Yeah, like I paid $20 to go to the movie theaters to see a movie. I don't want to wait another basically 30 minutes to see the movie to have another smaller movie play in front of it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm getting like half of a bad feeling about the movie Coco anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of starting, like, when I saw the trailer, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be all that good. Like, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look really good. So I'm kind of iffy on it right now. I'm still gonna see it, but I have my reservations.
Yeah, I've steered away from all of the trailers about Coco just because of what you said. That's what I've been hearing a lot about online, and I don't really want my expectations for it to be, if I see the trailer and I think looks good, I don't want my expectations to be kind of brought down or whatever. But that's kind of one of the reasons why I was thinking that they're doing this, because they know that the movie, supposedly, this is just my speculation or opinion, they know that the movie isn't as good, and so they're putting the Frozen short in front of it to draw in the audiences, or to draw in more people, who wouldn't normally see it if the short wasn't there. The Frozen, I mean, like we just discussed, kids love Frozen, and if the parents are going to take their kids to see Coco, if the kid says, I don't want to see that movie, it doesn't look that good, or I'm sure a kid doesn't have that developed of a vocabulary, but, if they see Frozen in front of anything, they're going to go see it. The parents are going to take their kids, and that's just one of the little theories that I had, that the movie's not that good, and they're only putting the Frozen short in front of it to draw in more people to see it.
Exactly, because the 3-year-olds can't say, "Mother, Father, I don't think I fancy this movie."
Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I want to move on to Disney's live-action remakes of their classic, more classic movies. I recently saw, well, not recently, I saw Beauty and the Beast when it came out. I don't remember. I think it was last year, maybe earlier this year, but I don't know. Before I saw it, I saw that a lot of my friends were saying that it was, the best movie Disney's ever made and all that stuff. And when I saw it, I didn't think it was as good as the original. I mean, of course, how could you top the original? But, I mean, I just thought it was meh.
You know what? I've got a lot to say about it, actually.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. So my mom, when she was alive, she was a really big fan of the Beauty and the Beast, the animated movie. And so I've seen the animated movie several times my whole life, just constantly. So I pretty much have all the lines like memorized in my head.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, and it's and so I love it. I do. I love the original Beauty and the Beast. And when I saw this new one, I didn't get to see it in theaters, so I saw it on Netflix. It's actually on Netflix right now.
Mhm.
And and I saw it, and when it ended, the first thing I said to myself was, well, I guess the writers of that movie didn't have to work very hard because literally they just cut and pasted like all of the script writing from the animated feature and then remade it into live action. It's like, I mean, with the few exceptions of like some other characters or the changing of some characters, really it was just it was weird. Like it was just a live action copy of the original. And I'm like, I can't believe people are giving this such good reviews because it's like you're basically giving the original movie better reviews. You know, like that's what it was. They just copied the original animated movie and then made it into live action and called it a new movie. And that's not cool with me. Like that's kind of like just like pooping on the front porch of the original animators and directors that made the original movie. It's just like, we took your great movie and then replicated it so we could make our own fame and glory off of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it feels like. And now let me tell you something different. Now, I've seen the movie Maleficent.
Oh boy.
And I feel different about Maleficent. I don't know what you think, but I actually like Maleficent. I like Maleficent because they didn't copy the original movie of Disney's Sleeping Beauty. They went and they took a classic way of looking at a story, and I forget what it's called. There's a name for it, but it's where you view the villain's side of the story as the right side of the story, and and it's a type of story writing that's actually been around for centuries. I don't remember what it's called, but anyway. So what I liked about Maleficent was that they made their own movie out of it. They took an interesting point of view, which was Maleficent's point of view, and they made a whole new movie on it. And so it's not like they took the original movie and then just turned it into a live action. They actually created their own movie, and that's what I like about it. But you look at Beauty and the Beast, and it took no effort. They just took a movie and its songs and replicated it in live action, and and there you go. It's a packaged and finished done deal, and it took no one any effort to make.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not gonna bash Emma Watson because I think she's a really great actor, but
she is. She is.
But for some reason, it really bothered me that she had this English accent all throughout the movie.
I know, and they're all French.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just something that I had to bring up there, but while you were talking, I was thinking of all the other live-action movies that Disney's made so far. I mean, live-action remake movies. And the only one I could think of was the Cinderella one. And then when you mentioned Maleficent, I was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot that movie existed. And I remember I saw that movie in theaters with my mom. Man, I don't even remember when it came out, but I can't remember a lot from that movie. All I remember is that I thought it was okay, but I never did see the Cinderella remake.
I didn't either. Was there a Cinderella remake? I did not know this.
Well, I mean, I heard it was actually, I can't even remember what I heard about it, but it didn't look that good to me. I mean, it's different when it comes to Beauty and the Beast, because Beauty and the Beast is one of the greatest animated movies of all time, you know? Like, I was wondering, how are they going to top this movie? And I don't know, a lot of the singing in the movie was kind of subpar, and I didn't like, I don't know, it's like how a lot of people bash on remakes, you know, how they say that, I don't know, I can't explain it, but I just thought that the movie was, decent. It was subpar.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It just, I was disappointed by Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, and the next one that they're coming out with, I think, is going to be Mulan. And from the rumors I heard, man, it was a while back. The rumors I heard was that they're not going to make it a musical. And when I read that, I was, I don't know, it was just weird because I can't picture the story of Mulan going, playing through without all the songs in between in the scenes,
Yeah. Well, I mean, so it's not going to be a musical?
I mean, that was one of a rumor I read a while back. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but yeah.
Huh.
And actually, I was wrong. The next live action, well, okay, this is the thing. The next, quote, live action remake movie to come out is The Lion King, and that's not really live action. It's still going to be CGI, so it's not, like live action with real actors in the movie, as far as I know.
No.
But The Jungle Book. I completely forgot about The Jungle Book too.
That sucked. I hated that.
I mean, man, it had been years since I'd seen the original, and I rewatched it before I saw the remake, and the new one, it didn't, I don't know, it just didn't have like the same spirit as the original.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it didn't. And here's the thing that people keep forgetting that was so magical about Disney movies. Okay, the thing about Disney movies back during the classics was that the Disney company, including Walt Disney, they picked people who had very unique voices. People who like I'm trying to think. Ed Wynn. I don't know if that name means anything to you. Ed Wynn was a famous comedian, but he's known for his voice as the Mad Hatter in
yes,
in Alice in Wonderland. Now, they've used his voice before for other things. He's even been in the original Mary Poppins movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember
and
now.
so anyway, but Ed Wynn has one of those. He's got one of those unique voices. He's very.
Wow, you did a really good job on that impression.
I'm really good at impressions, but so they chose him for that purpose, and they. And other characters too, like in the original Jungle Book, they chose like a voice for someone that sounded like Baloo the bear, like someone who you just hear their voice and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like it would be Baloo, or that sounds like it would be Shere Khan, But the thing is like Disney doesn't understand that the celebrity does not make the voice.
Yes,
it's
that's
the
true.
voice that makes the celebrity. So it's like Disney goes, you know what? Instead of looking for good voices, we're going to look for good celebrities and use their voices. And the thing is throughout the whole movie, I was trying to figure out whose voice is that and whose voice is that, because these people don't have well-known voices. Like you don't know them for the like. It's different if like you chose to have Morgan Freeman in the movie, because Morgan Freeman has one of those voices. He's one of those people that you would recognize him by his voice. But Scarlett Johansson, you don't really recognize her by her voice. And Idris Elba, you don't recognize him by his voice. You recognize those people by their faces. And so it's like, it's not the same as if you were to hire Morgan Freeman to do a voice. So that's the thing that really sucked about the new Jungle Book, was that I'm watching all these characters and the voices don't match the size of these characters. Like for instance, Baloo the bear, you expect his voice to be deep and to be thundering because he's a big bear, but instead they choose to have what's his name?
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. They chose to have Bill Murray because why? Not because Bill Murray has a great voice, because Bill Murray is Bill Murray. And they thought, his voice would be great for this part, but it wasn't. Like, he did not play a good Baloo the bear. And then my last complaint that I really wanted to say for anybody who even likes this movie, Christopher Walken was rapping in this movie.
No. I don't even want to remember. I don't even want to recall the memory of me watching that scene play out.
Wasn't that terrible? Wasn't that the most terrible thing you've ever seen?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, freaking, you've got an amazing actor like Christopher Walken, and he's rapping. What the heck, people? What are you watching? Stop watching this stuff.
Yeah. And that was also one of my gripes with that movie. The songs weren't, I don't know, they just weren't good. You know, in the original, the songs were, man, I can't explain it, but the songs in the remake just weren't, I guess, as impactful, or I don't know. I felt like they cut out a lot from the songs and in the remake.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic for The Lion King. I mean, they released a picture of all the people, or the cast who's going to voice all the characters a couple weeks ago. And it's, like you said, all these famous celebrities are going to be playing all these iconic voices. Of course, they're going to get, I can't think of his name. The guy that plays Darth Vader, what's his name?
James Earl
Jones.
James Earl Jones, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be coming back.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, that's good, at least.
Yeah,
and he's got an iconic voice. That's one of those people that you want in a movie.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic.
But I mean, like, you see, Disney used to choose people based on their voices. And it's like, for instance, what's the actor's name that played the original Simba? The older Simba. I can't remember his name.
I can't think of it.
Well, people who know what I'm talking about. He played the voice of older Simba, and he's like famous on Broadway. But anyway, they chose him because if you listen to his voice, Matthew Broderick. Thank you, Matthew Broderick. So if you listen to Matthew Broderick's voice, his voice naturally sounds like someone who has a deep depression, a deep worry. That's the way his voice naturally sounds. And when he emphasizes certain emotions when he reads out his lines, he reads it with such deep emotion and connectivity. And it's those characteristics in his voice that made him perfect for older Simba, because older Simba was he didn't have good memories with his past. He didn't have good connection with his father because his father died and he felt responsible. So it's like Matthew Broderick's voice was perfect for older Simba because you could almost feel the emotion in his voice. But you see, I bet anyone that they choose to do the new Simba's voice will just sound like some generic voice. You know, like Disney's not looking at who has a good voice. They're looking at who's a famous actor. And a lot of famous actors, unfortunately, don't have characteristic voices.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And wow, we talked about this for a long time because we really have a lot to talk about. And I'm just gonna go ahead and end this on reading the cast for the new Lion King. Let's see. Donald Glover as Simba, Beyonce as Nala, James Earl Jones as Mufasa, of course. Let's see. John Oliver as Zazu, Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, Billy, I can't pronounce this guy's last name. He's going to be playing Timon. Yeah. Eric Andre as Azizi, I think that's how you pronounce that. I really cannot pronounce a lot of these people's names, but I'm sorry if you guys are listening. I can't pronounce your names, but Keegan Mike and Key as Kamari. Yeah, like you said, it's just a lot of famous people playing these voices.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love Donald Glover as an actor, and John Oliver, why? John Oliver, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Let me just say, out of that whole cast, it seems like the only two people with even remotely interesting voices would be James Earl Jones and Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen has a voice that could definitely be an animated person. So, but everyone else's voice, I'm like, what? That doesn't even, they don't sound like interesting animated characters.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And I just want to point out that acting and like physically acting and voice acting are two entirely different things.
Oh,
You can
totally.
be a good actor, but be really bad at voice acting, and vice versa. It takes a lot of different talents to, get across your emotions when the audience can't physically see you. You have to put all of your emotions into your voice, and vice versa with regular acting and voice acting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it just like you said, voice acting and actual acting are two very, very, very different things.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, of course it's probably going to make over $1 billion because that's what Disney's hoping, but...
Yeah.
Anyways, wow. I always tell myself this is going to be a short episode, but then we end up going past an hour and a half.
Well, I think that last topic we could make a whole episode on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're probably going to continue this topic one of these days if you guys really want us to. If you guys absolutely hated us talking about this, then let us know too, because we probably will never talk about it again if you guys really want us to. But and yeah, that's just about gonna wrap up this week's episode. I hope you all enjoyed, and we want to hear your thoughts on everything we talked about, whether that be Disney buying out 20th Century Fox, immersive hotels at Disneyland, and your thoughts on current Disney movies. Why don't you go ahead and tell the people how they can support you, Alex?
Sure. You can financially support me using the Venmo app, which is a free app that you can get for your phone or device. And basically, it's just like a money transferring app. And you create an account, and then you find my username, which is @AYAlexander. And you can send me however much money you want. My sister and I often use this app to send each other $20 now and then for whenever we need to borrow money or something like that.
Yeah, guys, and you should totally go out and support Alex because, like I said, he makes amazing videos on YouTube. And I also have a Patreon if you guys want to support me there, or buy my t-shirts, because who doesn't want an awesome t-shirt to wear every day?
Oh, his t-shirts are awesome. They're awesome.
And if you guys haven't already, be sure to check out my previous episode of Historyland on Discovery Bay. I had to think about that for a second because I couldn't remember. But if you guys enjoyed, leave a like and all that stuff. Have a great big beautiful tomorrow. See ya, Mountaineers.